I've been continuing with, in a recent previous video, I talked about the lines of force method for astral projection. And so I've been doing it quite consistently. I stopped doing it, or I was waiting for to be in a certain state in order to start doing it. I'm not sure why, but I had stopped doing that method for a while, and I'm back to doing lines of force. I'm actually doing it more than I ever have, and I'm finding really good results in some of them. And again, my level of awareness and lucidity sometimes will fade, sometimes it's really sharp. I want to talk about the lines of force method. It's just something that I want to say about it, because I've spoken about it before, but I want to say something more specific that I'm finding works. And it's, so the lines of force, I'm going to describe it right now. I am in bed. Usually when I do it, it's when I wake up in the morning. As soon as I wake up right away, I remember that I'm in a place that's really good just to attempt astral projection. So I stay still and I go into visualizing the lines of force. The lines of force, this is something that my brother told me about. It's something that is in a astral projection. It's a book that has a lot of different techniques, astral projection techniques, and that's one of the ones that they mentioned. So I'm going to go into describing exactly what, and then something that I noticed works. Visualizing from here, like this part of my face and this part of my face, I visualize. So my eyes are closed, right? I just woke up, my eyes are closed, and right here, shooting out in front, out into the ceiling, right? Because I'm in bed, or whatever. Like I don't have to be like flat on my back, but from here out is they're lines, just like laser lines or whatever, lines. And they shoot out and they go about 6 feet out. And at the end of each line, they come together. So they're forming this point. Okay, it's a point. And then, so they're from here. So that's part of it, part of the visualization. The other part is that it starts to expand out this way to form a large triangle, like that triangle. Okay, what I find, and because these sides right here where the lines started extend outward this way, and when it extend outward this way, the lines that are out are still at a point, and it's forming like a triangle. What I'm finding is there's sometimes sensation in the ears. There's a sensation in the ears sometimes with astral projection attempts, and also sometimes sounds and different things that happen in the ears during these trance states and visualizations, astral projection attempts. So what I found is the lines that start here, I carry them back into the ears. So for some reason I start from here and then I carry them back. Again, these lines are still being visualized as being out 6 feet in front, about 6 feet in front at a point. And they extend back into the ears. And then once they're here and they meet that feeling in the ears, then they start pulling outward. They start extending outward because the visualization is to create this like triangle. And so once this extends out, the lines start extending out, it causes a vibrational state, I think. And my brother was right about that, because I remember him mentioning something about that. He said that there's this extension in the ears that for some reason triggers the vibrational state. And yes, yeah, there's something about the ears, there's energy, there's something going on there. Sometimes there's a
a ringing. There's different sounds that people report and so on. And what I have found is when I'm doing the visualization and they start extending outward, the visualization kind of becomes a thing of its own, and then the vibrational state kicks in. But what's been happening is I've been ending up in dreams that I'm aware, and I'm like lucid and stuff. What happened this last night, was I don't know what time it was when it happened, but I woke up a little bit, and then I did the visualization, and then I pulled out from the ears the lines, which I've done a few times already, and it's worked. And I brought those lines back into the ears and pulled outward, forming this triangle, like a pyramid, like the face of a pyramid. And the vibrational state started. Then I found myself feeling really separate from my body. And I tried to sit up in my bed because, like, my arms, my legs, my head, but my torso was still stuck, which I've had in the past. That's been something in the past that has happened. However, this time I decided to use a command, and I decided to try that out. And I just said, like, detach, like sit up or something like that, like just to come out. And I had to say it a couple times, and then it happened. And then I ended up elsewhere. I was in a different place, actually, in this house, and it was a really large house. And recently, for whatever reason, I've been having these dreams in these really large houses. And it had, I was actually kind of like flying, and it was fun. I was kind of like pushing off of stuff, and I was like floating and flying, and it was really neat. And I was going through, and I'm like, well, let me have a look at this place. Let me count how many bedrooms. And I think there were about 7. Like, it was really large. I'm like, how many bathrooms are in this place? And then it started to become somewhat dreamlike. I started to lose lucidity a little bit, but I still recall a lot of things that happened. I then ended up in this other place. Like, different things happened, but the separation point, I simply separated, and I was like looking around, and I was happy that it worked. But I think a key point is bringing those lines of force back into the ears. Or maybe they can start at the ears, you know what I mean? Like, they can just start from the ears. For some reason, I start them from right here. I bring them back because there's this feeling, like this feeling in the ears, and then that pulls outward. And it's kind of like, I know I'm just saying like visualization, but it's an actual thing. And then it's sort of like, it becomes this like thing of its own. And then all of a sudden, like that electrical feeling. Recently, one of the last times that it happened, because it's happened several times now ever since I've been doing these lines of force, and I was actually thinking about how is my body like physically trembling? Like, does it look like I'm actually shaking in bed? And I thought about it, and it was like, I'm probably not, even though it really feels like that's what's happening. My physical body's probably really still in bed. It sure didn't feel that way. Very, very electrical. Again, I'm getting the electrical. And recently it's been pretty strong. It's not the strongest it's ever been, but it's really strong. It's like the second strongest, like that. I think it's like a second level of strength or whatever. Like, if I were to categorize the different strengths of the vibrational state that I've felt, this one's pretty strong. And not last night, but one of the previous nights, I almost felt like I couldn't hold on. Like, it was so strong. I was like, oh, can I do this? Like, do I need to break out of it? I ended up staying in it, and I need to write down every time it happens, because I've been kind of slacking on writing them down. I think I know they amplify when they write down. I can also keep track of them. So for some reason, writing them down and taking the time to write them down, I feel just kind of suspend that state, that kind of transitional state from sleep to wakefulness, because of the writing down and holding and sustaining and remembering it. And so you're holding that space. And I find that there is benefit to that, that I find that the more I write down dreams, the more dreams I have that I can write down, or the more I remember them, I would say. Yeah, but the ears, I wanted to bring that up because I think it's significant. I don't know why. I just know that it works. It's been working. And it's very simple. And the amount of time that it takes for this to happen, like the amount of time that it takes to go from visualization into the vibrational state, feels like 30 seconds to a minute. So 30 seconds to a minute is a really short period of time. So I'm not even thinking about anything. Like, I'm not worried about staying still. Like, it's 30 seconds to a minute. I am staying still. I'm just almost like I'm waking up. So it's not like it's difficult, or like I've been moving around all day and I have to calm down. Like, and I have to like, and I want to get myself to be relaxed. It's like I'm already super, super relaxed from having slept at night. So I feel this is a super quick way to get into the vibrational state. And then it's just a matter of staying aware as long as possible during that time. And yeah, I'm just, yeah. So I wanted to bring that up and see if maybe that, that'll help anyone. It's quite amazing. You know, my brother actually mentioned that. He said something about the ears and the sides of the face, and how when the lines extend outward, that there's like the vibrational state, and it is so, you know, and he says, he's like, his position is, you know, everybody has their own position, and his position is like, it doesn't really matter what anybody thinks, whether they believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's not about, he sees it like there's a vehicle and there's the key to the vehicle, and you take the key and you put it in the ignition and you turn it and the car is going to turn on. It's like that. You basically, there are tools and exercises to do to switch into another state, and that's, you do them and it happens, and it's true, and it's not about anyone's opinion, I think, or belief or whatever. But I do think that there are belief systems and also fear that will hold people back. So if a person is afraid, if they think it's like wrong or something, like if they're going against their religion or whatever, then they're going to hold themselves back. I think that's definitely something that's going to get in the way of that. But if that can be cleared, if a person just go for it and just say, well, if it's true, the thing is that some people know that these things are real, but they're scared. And so even that, like, that's gonna, even if you know that it's something that's real, if you're scared of it, that fear is a massive block. It's just, fear shuts people down. So I would say elimination of fear. And again, this is like, sounds really simple, but I know there's a lot that goes into it because everyone is different. But if someone is going for astral projection, if they're at a place where they're practicing it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about people that don't, I'm not trying to convince anyone to do astral projection. I'm basically talking to people that are already into astral projection and already into this kind of stuff and find it interesting. I'm not trying to convince someone that doesn't want to do astral projection to do astral projection. I mean, everybody has a different path. Everybody has a different life and a different spiritual expression. But for those that are in it, they're working on it, I would say, like, I mean, again, fear is kind of a personal thing. It's also something that gets indoctrinated into people. And so I think bringing awareness to that, maybe like trying to figure out what's holding a person back. So yeah, I think that fear can be a huge barrier. But like my brother's position, aside from all that blocks people, he says it's just like they're tools and they work. Like, you just do this certain thing and it happens. Now, I'm sure there are different methods that work for different people. There are a lot of different methods that have been developed over very, very long periods of time to have this happen, to astral project. And it's a matter of picking the one that works. The Lines of Force works for me. At first, it seemed very simple And it's like, well, it's going to take me like a second to visualize these lines, and then the lines going outward at, another second. Like, I'm going to visualize for 2 seconds. Like, that's not enough time, But as I started to do it, I found that it actually feels energetic. And then once the ears, there's the lines extend from the ears, it becomes its own thing. And how it works, I don't know. I think it has something to do with pyramids. And I think maybe that's why I was drawn to that system, is because the connection that I have with the pyramids in Mexico. So, and then of course the spirituality, indigenous spirituality that I'm connected to, they astral project, among many things. So I think it's a matter of finding the system that works for a given person, like what they're drawn to, what seems to feel comfortable or feel right for them, and just practice it. It's super simple. It takes like 30 seconds to a minute to get into the vibrational state. And I've attempted other ways where I've been awake and I've attempted it for like 2 hours straight trying to get into the vibrational state, and it wouldn't. Like, I'd get a little close, but still, like just difficult. And this, like 2 hours versus 30 seconds to a minute, like I'm going to keep doing it this way. I think it's the easiest way. My body's already calm. I don't have to work on calming it down. I'm coming up out of sleep, so I'm already in this in-between state. It's a simple visualization that I connect with and feel connected to. Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So I'm going to keep doing it. Like, it's happening like night and then another night and another night. And it just keeps happening now. So, and the ears are really important. So I wanted to mention that because I do think it's significant, and something there that I wanted to share.